Hello guys, and welcome to your next C++ in game tutorial. Sorry it's been so long since the last episode. I've been busy moving from San Francisco back to Tennessee, so I haven't had much time, but I should be able to make videos every few days again. So today what I'm going to be going over is something called game states and also enums and enum classes. And you can think of enums and enum classes as basically the same thing. It's just a different way to do it. So first, let me show you why we would need a game state. So here I've got this primitive game loop, as we've done all of our game loops, and I have this boolean is game done. So this will just continue to loop through our game loop until we set is game done to true. Now what if we wanted to have like a main menu or something inside the game loop, where we might be at the main menu and we will play the game there, and then we might be in the game instead. So what we could do is we could say bool is main menu done or something like that. And set that equal to false. And then we could have another while loop, while is main menu done or something like that. Or we could have a loop somewhere else. But as you can see, this is already looking really ugly. We have a while loop inside of a while loop. So here we could do like cout, this is the main menu or something like that. And then we could do something like get input from the user, and then if he enters, the play button, we should start playing the game, or if he goes to the options menu, we should switch to the options menu or something like that. Well, it's starting to get really complicated with us just using these Boolean flags. There's actually a better thing to do. What we can do is we can use something called game states. And what we do is we assign each part of the game a state. So the main menu is going to be a state called main menu, and we can actually encode that in an int here. We can say const int main menu equals, we'll say 0. So we're going to give each state a unique integer value. They're each going to be different. And then what we can do is just check and see which state we are in to determine what we're going to do. So I'm going to delete this stuff in here. We could also have a const int exit. Exit could be a state if we want to exit the game. We could have a const int playing equals 2. And we could have a const int options equals 3. So each of these could be an arbitrary number. This could be 13, this could be 255. As long as these are different numbers from each other, as long as they're not the same, then we're good. So what we can do down here is get rid of is game done entirely, and what we'll do is at the beginning we're going to make a state variable. We're going to say like int game state, and we're going to set it equal to our starting game state, which will be main menu for us. Main menu. Like that. And now instead of this while is game done is equal to false, instead what we can do is we can say while game state is not equal to exit. And I'm typing wrong today. So while game state is not equal to exit. So we're going to keep looping whenever we're in the main menu, so we can process main menu input. Whenever we're playing, we want to process player input. When we're in the options menu, we want to make sure we're processing his mouse events and things like that. So what we can do with the game state now in our game loop is we can have a switch or something like that. Now this isn't the best way to do it. We'll learn other ways to do game loops later probably, but this totally works for your small little games. So we're going to say switch on game state, and we can say case main menu. So if we are in the main menu state, we could do something like call a main menu function. So we could call process main menu or something like that. And this process main menu function that we make could do things like get user input, or well, pretty much get user input and draw the game or something like that. You might want to actually put the draw code somewhere else. And we could put a break here, and then we could say case playing or whatever. Then we're going to process playing game. These are pretty terrible function names, but you get the idea. So now all of our game logic is conveniently encapsulated in these separate functions. So we'll have a function for the main menu, we'll have a function for playing the game, and all of this is just we're just accessing these functions via a switch on the game state. It makes things really, really simple, so we don't have to have all those booleans. And then say we're in the main menu and we want to end the game. Say the user enters the quit button or types quit or something like that. Then all we would have to do is say game state equals exit. And then next time we get to this while loop, it's going to fall out and we're going to end the game. Really cool stuff. I don't need to actually run any code, I don't think, to show you how the game state thing works. This is pretty much conceptual stuff. So let's go ahead and get rid of this, and now let me show you what an enum is, and it just makes this easier. So we have these 4 constant ints. What if we have a bunch more states? What if we have like 10, 20 states, how are we going to guarantee that they're not going to conflict with each other? And how are we going to guarantee that we aren't setting this int game state equal to an invalid state? What if somebody came along and typed int game state equals 5? Well, that doesn't really make sense anymore because 5 isn't a valid game state up here. Well, that's where enums come in. What an enum is it's a way to enclose a bunch of constants, a bunch of named constants, and to guarantee that they are not all the same value. They're all going to be different values. So I'm going to basically make the exact same thing we have here using just an enum. So the way you make an enum is you type enum, and I'm going to make a global enum, and then you make the name of the enum. So I'm going to say game states, like that. And then you can say equals, and then we're going to say main menu. Actually, don't say equals. We're going to say main menu is the first one. Then we're going to say exit. Then we're going to say playing. And then we're going to say options, like that. And a semicolon. So now this enum game states does the exact same thing as main menu. As these 4 constants right here. So as you can see, this code is still valid. This isn't giving us an error. If we mouse over it, well, that's because I have these defined still. Let me get rid of that. If I mouse over this, it says, if I zoom in here, you can see it says enum game states : exit. So remember the colon right there, that's the scope resolution operator. So it's saying exit belongs to game states and it's equal to 1. And if we look up here, this exit is in the ones place if we would consider this an array. So main menu is 0, exit is 1, playing is 2, options is 3. And that's how enums are by default. Each additional variable you add to the enum becomes its own constant that is 1 greater than the one before. So this main menu is 0, exit is 1. If we made a new one at the end, say video options or something, video options is going to have a game state of 4. And sorry, I'm getting a call here. Let me just silence that. So let's get rid of that. So now we have our game states here, but this still doesn't stop us from using an incorrect game state if we try to use an integer. So instead, what we can do is actually use this game states as a type. So I can copy this right here and replace int with game states. And now when we say equal to 5, it's going to say we cannot initialize a type int to game state. And if we change it to a 3, the same thing happens. You can't assign an integer value. Now, these game states are integers, but the compiler is just preventing us from doing this because it doesn't want us to have a bug. So the only way you can assign a value to game states is if you type like options or something like that. And now, excuse me, now this is going to be valid. So this using game states as a variable type is a really good way to store your enum variables and things like that. It'll keep you from having errors. Now we could have said int game state equals options. That works. Using the game states keyword right here is just a way to prevent you from having bugs and to make your intentions clear. If we see game states here, we know it's a game state, obviously, and it has to be one of these 4 things. Now this is the actually the old way to do enums. The new way is to just type the word class here. This is just a new addition. When you say enum class instead of enum, what it does is it makes it strongly typed, and you can kind of Google what that means. But another really important thing is it makes it so that you can't just say equals options here. You have to say what the scope is. You have to use the scope resolution operator. So we have to say game states : options, like that. And we have to do the same thing down here for exit. So what's great about this is if we have different enum classes or different enums, for instance, enum editor states. Say we have a game editor or something like that, and we might have also a main menu in the editor. Well, if we just used an enum like this, we have a conflict now. And say we had exit first and then main menu here and exit. Now what's going to happen is we're not going to know which exit is which. If we just come down here and we type int a equals exit or something like that, we're not going to know which exit we're talking about. Now, granted, we could say editor state a equals exit, and that'll probably be able to figure out what's going on. Let's see if game state figures it out. So if we say game state a equals exit, what's going to happen here is we have a conflict. So because we've redefined exit here, it basically overwrote this exit. So now we get game states A cannot be equal to exit because this is the editor state exit, not the game state exit. However, if we use an enum class like this, enum class game states enum class editor state. Now what we can do is we can specifically say we want game states exit like that, and we're forced to do this, which is good. It makes it safe. Another cool thing about these is you can do forward declarations with the enum class. If you didn't have enum class, you wouldn't be able to do forward declarations because this makes it a class, which you can do forward declarations for. And another cool thing, if you don't want it to be 0, 1, 2, 3, if you want it to be different, you can actually assign values. So we could say equals 5 here. And now this is going to start at 5, so this will be 5, and this should be 6. Yep. And we can even, I think we can even change it up more. We could say main menu equals 5, exit equals 7. And now playing will be 8. So basically the last equals sign that you assign, or the last number that you manually assign to a state or an enum element, after that one, everything after it will be just 1 after. It'll just be 8, 9, 10, 11. If we set this to a 10, then this would be 11, 12, 13, 14. And I think you can even, I'm not sure if we can actually do them out of order. I don't think you can. Well, that's kind of surprising. You can do it out of order. And now exit is equal to options. So don't do that. Definitely don't do that. But yeah, so that's enums, really useful for game states, all other things. Anytime you have basically a bunch of related constants that you want to kind of group together in a logical way. And for instance, if you want to have a variable that only can be those different constants, which is, perfect for states, then you would want to use an enum class. You will see enums used because that's the old way. You'll probably see it a lot, but I recommend using enum class, and it saves you from having conflicts with the names as well because you're forced to use the scope resolution operator here. So let's go ahead and, should we even run this? This doesn't do anything. I hope this made sense. I mean, I could print these out to the screen, but it's pretty obvious that they are what they are, and they do what they do. They're just constants with a little enum wrapper around it. So thanks for watching, guys. I think this is our last tutorial until we go into graphics. I hope you guys are excited, and I will see you in the next video.